What if I told you that total screen time doesn't matter? At least, not nearly as much as we think it does. I was reading a research paper where scientists collected data from more than 1,400 real social media sessions. You'd expect the biggest predictor of regret to be time spent scrolling, but that's not what they found. The strongest predictor of regret is something called the intention gap. In other words, it's the difference between how long you planned to stay and how long you actually stayed. A 1-hour session that you intentionally chose wasn't necessarily associated with regret, but a session where you planned to check one thing and then leave, and then somehow ended up scrolling for 45 more minutes, those were much more likely to be regretted. The researchers found that once they accounted for this intention gap, session length itself became much less important. And honestly, that makes sense. Most people don't regret using social media. They regret losing control of how they use it. The study also found that regret was more common late at night and after people had been using productivity apps. In interviews, participants often described social media as an escape from things they didn't want to do: work, responsibilities, or going to bed. The researchers even trained machine learning models to predict whether someone would regret a social media session before it started. Their conclusion? The most important moment isn't after you've been scrolling for an hour, it's the moment right before you open the app. That's where the difference between intentional use and regretful use begins.